So, what else after overall goals? Specific goals. Okay. So let's talk about flexibility and split position and some of the things that we're going to break down. So like on 15, we have some specific Gemini goals, and these are not all of them. We'll get a lot of them when we teach stuff. We are doing tomorrow and Thursday, or just Thursday? Just Thursday. We're doing Thursday. So we are coming, and we're actually not just teaching the coaches, we're showing the kids, and they're all going to demonstrate every single exercise. Whether they do some of them 2 weeks from now or not, because of the cycle, we're going to make sure that we're training the trainers and we're training the kids. So we get, and if we have to come back a second time, great. If we have to come back just for the coaches, great. We'll figure it out, okay? So flexibility-wise, right? Like normal splits is all the way down and it looks all gangly and they're trying to square their hips, but they move their chest and it does nothing. So we pull them up into square splits to check their hamstring and their hip flexibility. So obviously to fix their splits, we're not just doing splits, we're breaking splits into 3 or 4 things. So if we get a better hamstring in the front and better hip flexor in the back, splits will naturally get better. So we retest and we retest and we go over and over again. Genevieve, right? Can I borrow you? I'm just going to show you this so that you can see it. No, you're fine. You're very welcome. Okay, pop into right leg splits. So we call these crotch to carpet splits. This is just like, for lack of better terms, get it down to the ground, right? So her hips, this is perpendicular. That's where her hips are. She's not square. She's in center splits with her chest facing that way, right? So she's stretching out her inner thigh on both legs because she's turned. So now we have her come up. And she actually, I pulled her because she knew when I told her to correct it. Her ASISs, or her hip bones, her pointers, have to be perpendicular. And as she's perpendicular, we simply measure the distance and the angle between her front and back leg. That's her split, okay? So obviously, you've seen her do a leap in the air. She looks like she's at 180. She can do I don't know if you do, but I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. She can do a back walkover, and it looks like she's split, right? But this kind of split is where she's actually at. Look up to her hands, yeah? I'm going to grab you from the side. So split into right. Yep, go ahead. Split into right leg split. Yep, good. Hold it there, okay? So now, go all the way down, turn out. So she can go almost to 180, right? And now if we square her, nope, not 180, right? So in practice, if she comes down and steps down, and let's say she's doing back walk around beam, she's going to make it. She's going to go square. If she's crooked, and she steps down crooked, her body is already turned out, so when she steps down, she's crooked and she falls off. Right? So like 92% of falls are to the same side of the beam because you're crooked. And if I video analyze them, it's all because of square splits. So that's just one functional example. We're not making, this is not like making you Olympians and trying to get your kids crazy. This is giving them the success of not falling because their flexibility gets better, so they succeed more, so they can do the skills that they're doing better. That's the split functional example. There's so many more, right? Cast handstands on bars. Can't cast your handstand if your arms don't go there. Not going to do it. Something's going to rip. Or you're going to get shoulder impingement and be in my office for 6 months. Because if you keep trying and it doesn't go, and you keep trying and you swing your legs, it's going to hurt. And it's going to eventually say, I don't want to go there. Just like gymnast wrists or whatever else everybody kind of pulls out. So, any questions though? How much of it was totally over your head? I'm kidding. Do you need anything else explained differently? Like any of the tests or any of the, anybody want to get the wrist flexibility tested? Or just kidding. So the exercises that we are going to do are split into 5 different parts. So it's dynamic flexibility, meaning flexibility with motion for joints. Static flexibility to make sure that their actual flexibility increases. Skill-based exercises like hollow holds and handstands, and then strength from a power perspective, like explosive power, and strength from an endurance perspective, which is holding and getting more core stability. And everything that we do is been charted and has a reason why, so that each day the kids are doing strength and flexibility. They're doing something from each part, so that they're not hyper-fatiguing one thing and not working something else. Because honestly, how many of your kids come 2 days a week? And how many go 3? Okay, so for the 2-day-a-week kids, there's a 4-day gap between your practices. Muscles atrophy after 2 days, okay? They don't atrophy after 2 days if you worked them hard enough to make them build. So if we touch hamstrings only on Mondays and say your second day is Thursdays, and you don't do hamstring stuff again until the following Monday, you got 7 days between working a muscle. We're not going to ever get stronger because you're not working it. So if we know that we've touched every body part, even just a little bit, and made it fatigued enough that they're sore enough that they rebuild, then the days off for rest and recovery are truly for rest and recovery, and you can rebuild muscles and start again when you come, right? Our elites do 2-a-day practices. They have 4.5 hours in the middle of a day to rest, and then 8 hours of sleep. It's crazy, right? There's no possible way that you can't have overuse injuries when your body can't recover. And I'm not asking you to go cryo and get $90 massages. Recover well. Drink water. Buy Epsom salts. Lay them over a foam roll that's $20. You know, it's not rocket science to help them recover if they're sore from the first part of starting new stuff. And if you have any questions whatsoever, do not be like, oh my God, Gina and Nicole are nuts, and my kid's butt is injured, and we have to run to the ER. Okay, most likely it's just that they're muscle sore. We will free injury screen any kid from the gym, like we do with all of our relationships. It doesn't cost you anything. We don't take your insurance. We don't secretly take your credit card. You come in, you see us, we say, yeah, we think that this is probably something ongoing. If it's tendonitis, it was not created in a day from being a Gemini. It's probably something that's been going on because you play baseball or another sport on the side. But if it's something that happened that day, like, ow, my quad is really sore, we're going to tell you that it's probably just lactic acid soreness. You know, suck it up, take a bath, and have a popsicle. See you tomorrow. And we'll let you know. Sound good? Awesome. Anything else? No?
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah,
Thursday.
So we're also going to get toys. They're going to get a couple toys. They're going to get like a balance pad, and we're going to get a whole bunch of bands and everything else. So I do need to know how many kids are latex allergy at the gym, if we can just survey the kids and make sure, because some of the exercises that involve bands will not go well for the kids that have a latex allergy. And in a gym, a latex-free band dries out crazy, so we use the latex one specifically because gyms are dry because of the chalk. So, but we have non-latex, so we can.
Does anyone have a latex allergy?
Here.
That's right here.
Yeah. We'll survey the kids and ask. The kids sometimes don't know. Oh, I blew up when I blew a balloon 5 years ago, but I don't think I have any allergies. Let's not do this. Please do not put that around your wrist. So, any questions at all for us? No? Cool. I hope the kids are excited about it. I'll give you my schmoopy story with gymnastics. So, I mean, I did 14 hours a week in the last 7 years. I was in the gym for 32 hours, went to only 3 classes in high school, and then not going because I did high school classes, and Nicole got out early and did the same. I'm a product of IGI and Carol's, and then IGI again. And I love Bella, and when you train for the Olympics, you don't need someone to hug you and tell you that your hair is pretty. You need someone to tell you that you stunk today, and you need to try harder because you're there for a purpose, right? Not all athletes have to go through that, and not all sports have to be like that. If you choose to want to be screamed at in the NFL, go for it. If you want to play Pee Wee football, then play Pee Wee football. So gymnastics never was for the everyday. And kids that quit when I was doing gymnastics quit and did nothing. Maybe they cheered, maybe they went, because there was nothing for them to do that was less than crazy. And I think it's, I have some concerns with the Excel program because not all gyms are doing like good strength, but I think it's amazing because it keeps 50% of the kids who have attrition in a sport between level 6 and 7 able to still enjoy a sport. And it doesn't mean that you have to do all 4 events. You don't have to like all 4 events. People do track all the time and they don't do shot put, they run. Nobody makes fun of track people. People make fun of gymnasts because they don't want to do bars anymore. Why? You don't want to do it, don't do it, right? So there's a goodness to this sub level, but there's a little bit of a scary window to the fact that it's a really scary sport. You don't rifle shoot part-time. You either do or you don't, right? You don't throw knives just on Mondays, right? So when you have sports that become a little scary, there has to be a consideration to the safety part, because the safety part doesn't change. It's still the same skills, but with less training, less reps, less balance. And we're going to try and help with that and make it, because I think it's great, and I love my sport still. Obviously, I live and breathe it, and Nicole's been through hip surgeries and elbow surgeries and everything because of the sport, and some of them probably could have been prevented by having a little less gusto and a little more injury prevention. So if I owned a gym, 70% of the time in a gym would be on the equipment, 30% would not. That's just to let you know. And I mean, That's a lot of time not on equipment, but it's because the stretching and the flexibility and the conditioning part is so very important. You can get a cast handstand. You can get a, sorry Siri, you can get a cast handstand on bars by conditioning and not even doing it. I mean, Simone conditioned for 2.5 months when she returned, didn't do a skill except a handstand and a back tuck, and got everything back because it's the basics that really matter. So if you see your kids doing, you're like, oh my God, we're only here for an hour and a half and they're doing 25 minutes and they're not even on the equipment, know that there's a reason to it. And I promise there's an opportunity. Sound good? Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.